Like, there was no need for that. There really wasn't. And I knew all of them had been drinking because after that confrontation, they all went home, thank God. But when I went up to the room, there were empty beer bottles everywhere, like literally everywhere. On my side of the room, there was one on my bed. One was also sitting on my dresser and literally tipped over and spilled all in my drawers and everything all over my clothes. So I decided that night that I was just going to go to sleep and I was going to deal with it in the morning because I was pretty much tired already of all of the fucking bullshit that I had been dealing with. So the next day I come home from work around 7 o'clock and I walk in, Maya's sitting on the couch. I asked her if we can talk again and she rolls her eyes and just stares at me and she's like, "What?" Like, okay, that's a great start to this conversation. And I was like, listen, I really do not want to be that person, but whenever it's 8 o'clock, everybody has to leave. Like, there's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. Everybody has to be out of this house by 8 o'clock. I gave it a chance letting your friends come over while I tried to study. It just doesn't work. And last night, I felt super disrespected whenever you and your friends came into the office, taunting me. You could have just came down by yourself. We could have talked about it. Now everybody, this was a very big moment for me, okay? Because usually I would have just left the situation alone thinking that it was gonna sort itself out. Anyways, I was like, not only that, but there's beer cans that were left all over the floor upstairs, spilled all over my clothes. There's used condoms all over the floor too, even though there's a trash can by the door. And then after that, she cuts me off and she's like, "Are you trying to call me a drunk and a whore?" And I'm like, is that the only thing you got from this fucking conversation? It was like talking to a dude. You know how you'll like be like, why did you do that? What were you thinking? Da 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 da. Ask them a bunch of questions and they only answer to one thing in the paragraph that you send them. That's.
Have you ever had a dream that
what I was dealing with pretty much. She was like, I'll have you know that those beer cans were from over this past week and those condoms were from me and my boyfriend. Like, I don't give a fuck who you use the condoms with. The issue is that they're laying around the room and they're used. At this point, I just really think this girl has some fucking issues that she really, really, really needs to work out. So I'm like, that's not at all what I was saying. If you could just please clean up after yourself, that would be great. And nobody comes over after 8 o'clock. So now that I feel like I've gotten a little bit confrontational right there, I was like, period, I won't have to have this talk again. I put my foot down, everything is all good. Even though she said, I love how you're just making up rules now, and then walks away. Fast forward to the weekend, I'm laying in bed, I don't feel good at all. And usually my dog will sleep downstairs on the couch watching the front door, or looking out the window because he loves to bark at everybody who walks past the window. Well, while I am laying in bed sleeping with the TV going, Maya and her boyfriend come over and they bring her boyfriend's dog. I have no idea what happened before I went downstairs, but all I remember is hearing Maya and her boyfriend screaming while dogs were yelping. So I run downstairs and I see Maya's boyfriend, his hands wrapped around my dog's neck, holding him in the fucking air. And there's another dog trying to jump and attack my dog. Also, not to mention, there's literally blood running down her boyfriend's arm. And Maya starts crying. She's like, Champ attacked Oakley. Champ is my dog's name. She was like, oh my God, like crying, like, girl, shut the fuck up. It's your fault. Your fault. Yours. Now, do you guys also remember when I put in the fucking thing that no other dogs were allowed because my dog doesn't get along with other dogs? It's because my dog was adopted from an animal shelter and he was bred to pretty much fight other dogs. And the only reason why he didn't get, what's it called, euthanized, I think that's what it's called, was because he was one of the only ones that wasn't aggressive towards humans. So at this point, I'm super pissed off. I'm not even thinking about the fact that I don't want there to be a confrontation anymore. I run over to her boyfriend, I grab my dog out of his hands, and I look at Maya and I tell her to get the fucking dog out of the damn apartment. So she takes the dog out of the apartment. I look at Champ. Champ has a huge bite mark on the side of his stomach. So I grab him, wrap him in a blanket, put him in the car, and I go inside and I literally say, you stupid bitch, this is why I told you no other fucking dogs were supposed to be in this fucking house. And then I tell her, I'm like, you or your boyfriend is going to pay for my dog's vet bill. And then he was like, your dog attacked my dog first, da 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 da. And I was like, in all honesty, if you want, I can call the cops and I can tell them that your dog, you did not have it on a leash and it ran inside of my apartment and attacked my dog. And then your dog will probably get euthanized. So you can pick one. Either pay for the fact that your dog bit my dog, or your dog is dead. Now, I know I seem heartless, but like, whenever it comes to my dog, do not play with me. Do not. Because now, not to mention, my dog is going to have probably PTSD from this apartment. So yeah, Maya takes his car, takes the dog home to his house, and him and I go to the vet, and he pays for Champ's vet bill. I don't know why I did this. Vet bill. And it was a $1,200 bill. And his parents had to come and pay it for me. But Champ ended up being okay. He had to stay there for a little bit. I think he stayed overnight. But whenever I got home, I went upstairs in another room, and Maya starts her fucking bullshit again. Again. She was like, so, my boyfriend told me that you were trying to flirt with him while you guys were at the vet. So at this point, I look at her and I'm like, listen, Maya, I'm not in the mood to fucking argue, and I don't want your fucking boyfriend. I was like, I would never hit on your boyfriend, and I would never do that to anybody who I know is in a relationship. Like, this girl, I feel like, just wants to make drama at this point. Like, it's really annoying. So then I was like, if anything, I should be mad at you. You broke my rules that I had. I was like, I told you not to bring another fucking dog in this house, and what do you do? And then she was like, well, I don't like all of these stipulations that you have. She was like, I wasn't aware of any of this whenever I moved in, and I can't have my boyfriend spend the night. I can't have my friends stay over. Like, you're such a control freak. Little side note here, okay? And tell me what you guys think, all right? I told Maya all of these things before she moved in, and she was completely fine with everything. I told her about everything. So if you knew that some of this stuff was going to be a pain in the ass to you, why would you move in with me? Or why would you, like, you know, not break my rules, because I don't want to sound like a parent, but yeah, like, break the rules I had for the house instead of just moving out. I don't think I'm in the wrong. What do you guys think? My thing is she agreed to pay the rent. She agreed to all the rules that I had. This was definitely the straw that broke the camel's back, literally. I wouldn't say it's worse than my dog being attacked by that other dog, but it's definitely second on my list. So fast forward the next month. Maya hasn't really been coming home. The only time she comes home is to shower, wash her clothes. And I didn't really mind, to be honest. I could give 2 fucks less. Apparently she's been staying at her boyfriend's house. Well, the one night I am swiping on Tinder and I see her boyfriend. And I'm thinking, oh, like, maybe it's an old account. So, you know, like, I'm going through the pictures. No, it is not an old account. One of the pictures literally was taken in my living room. So I decide, am I going to be a good person and tell her, or should I leave well enough alone? I decide to be a good person, and every time I decide to be a good person, it bites me in the fucking ass. So the next day she comes over to get a shower, and I'm like, hey, I have something you might want to see. It's like really important. And then I show her the screenshot. She's like, did you swipe right? And I was like, no, I already told you I don't want your man. So she rolls her eyes, she sends the picture to herself, and she doesn't say anything about it after that. The next day I have a really weird feeling because I hadn't heard anything from her all day, and it's not like we talked every day. It's just like, after me showing her that, I would have thought that, you know, she would have like kept me updated, but I guess not. So I get home from work around 9:30 that night, and I park the car, and I immediately see that the back door is wide open. So I run up to the house, and everything is gone. Literally everything. All my furniture, my computers, all my school books, every single thing is gone. Even my shower stuff and my shower curtain. So while I'm also looking around, I realize that Champ is missing too. It's one thing to take my shit, it's another thing to take my fucking dog. So I run over to my neighbor's house, and I'm like, hey, like, did you see anybody moving stuff out of my apartment today, you know? And in all honesty, I thought that we may have been getting evicted because I didn't really know how that stuff worked at the time. She was like, oh yeah, I saw Maya and her boyfriend here earlier. They said that you guys found a new apartment and that they said that they would move the stuff for you while you were at work. So then I asked her if she's seen my dog, and she's like, oh yeah, Champ is here right now. They said that he feels more comfortable with you, so you wanted to take him over to the house. There was a truck here moving everything at 9 in the morning. And when I tell you guys, that was literally right after I left for work today. Like, I'm not even joking. I was late to work actually this morning. Usually I leave the house around like 8:40. I left today at 8:50. So they must have had the van waiting. I was super happy that my dog was safe, but now I didn't even know how to handle a situation like this because I've never been in a situation like this. This is my first apartment. So I told my neighbors what was going on, and they were like, yeah, you definitely need to call your landlord and call the police. So I called the police. They said if they left at 9 in the morning and it's 9 o'clock at night, to be honest, there's really nothing they could do. They're probably already out of the state right now. They can put a warrant out, but yeah. And they checked all of like the moving companies around to see if anybody under his name or her name had rented a truck. Nobody had, so yeah. So after that, I told my landlord that I was going to be moving out, and I called my grandparents, even though you guys know that I didn't want to call them in the first place because I hate borrowing money off of them since my parents already borrow so much fucking money from them. But whenever I talked to them, they said that they were thinking about getting an apartment closer to where I was anyways. They got a house near my campus, literally like 10 minutes away, in a way better neighborhood, way bigger house. And now I live there with them, and I haven't seen Maya ever since, but Karma is a bitch, and I hope she already got or gets what's coming to her.